Hello, welcome to Captivate the Mic with Elaine Williams. I am really excited to share this fabulous woman who is my guest today. I have learned so much from her about finances, the emotion under finances, and I can't wait to share her wisdom and her heart with you. Please welcome to the show, Traci Steelman, financial advisor. Traci.
Hi, Elaine. I am so happy to be here. Thank you for having me on your podcast. I have been looking forward to this all week.
I'm just delighted to have you. And we both work with a lot of female entrepreneurs. And even though I think it's in a very exciting time to be a female, not so long ago, we couldn't have our own credit cards. We couldn't get a car loan. It wasn't like in 1900s. We'll talk about that anyway. And so many women I know, myself included, I feel like I should know this by now, but I don't. And I've made some big financial mistakes. I had 4 houses at the top of the market. I was rehabbing 3 of them in 2008. I was going to get into flipping and I got flipped. And I get there's a world economy collapse and I struggled alone. I had so much shame. I probably should have declared bankruptcy and I didn't. I held on and just kept trying to outwork it, which I don't recommend. So, anyway, I'm just delighted that you're here and we can talk about all the things we were probably raised to not talk about. It's rude to talk about money. It's a lady doesn't talk about money. So, first of all, I want to ask you, Traci, how did you get into this? I just rolled out of bed and you're like, I love spreadsheets. What happened?
I do love spreadsheets.
I know, that's why it's hilarious.
I've always loved spreadsheets and numbers. I love connecting with people. I love serving people. When I was in college the first time, I majored in accounting or economics, actually. And as ladies often do, I got my Mrs. degree instead of my bachelor's degree, had a few children, supported my husband while he was in the military. And then one day I was door knocked by an Edward Jones advisor while I was going back to finish my accounting degree. And I was like, fine, I'll work for you until I get this degree done, and then I'm going to go be a CPA. And then I spent a little bit of time working in the CPA world and realized I really love finances better. I love working with individuals. I love helping everyone achieve the retirement of their dreams by making those steps more doable or more understandable. Now I get to spend time in my spreadsheets and spend time with all of my clients, helping them achieve their dreams, and just wake up every day excited to serve my clients.
I love that. I love that. And I've had the privilege of working with you, working with your camera and your speaking. And you said something last week that you were having several prospect meetings, and several women said, I'm so ashamed to ask this, or something like that.
Yes, it is. Uh, Last week, it was every single prospect. Over the last year, it is coming up more and more of I'm ashamed I waited so long to get started. I'm ashamed of the things that I don't know. I'm ashamed of these decisions that I made during crisis. And I think we can all acknowledge in one area of our life or another a spot where we made the best decision we could with the information we had, and it may not have been the best decision. And we carry more guilt when that has to do with our money. I should have known to do this better, but how would you know if no one ever taught you? And some of our parents were very good savers and good communicators, but most of them weren't. I know personally, my parents did not teach me anything about money, not even how to balance a checkbook. And I hear people say this should be taught in school. I wholeheartedly agree. And for some of us in upper level math, We did talk about compound interest, but not as it applied to our finances, not as it applied to real life, just like math problems on a page to get through. It's not intuitive. You weren't born knowing it. You weren't supposed to be born knowing it. This is very new. Retirement as a concept is, especially to the masses, is very new. Social Security wasn't created until 1933. Prior to that, you worked until you couldn't and then hoped that your children would support you until you died. And we
And
do.
people used to die a lot younger too. Things have really,
Yes. Yeah, accidents, illnesses. If you were fortunate, we had family in the 1800s that did make it into their 90s, but that wasn't always the norm. Heads up, ladies, we do 4 generations statistically outlive our spouses. So if you think that you don't need to learn this because your husband handles it, there will come a time when it is very important to you because you
yes.
have outlived him.
And as someone who's been through grief, I thought I can handle it. I've done a lot of personal growth work. I've years and years of therapy, and I did not realize how debilitating the grief was. And I'm obviously, it's been a year since my father died, but trying to learn new things when you're grieving and also trying to close up somebody's life, not the most optimum thing. And also being in midlife, I feel like last summer for me was like, ooh, am I on acid? It was a lot. So I guess the point we both want to make is it's not too late. And a little bit, maybe you're the kind of person that likes to learn a little bit every day, or maybe you're the kind of person that says, okay, every Sunday I'm gonna sit down and spend an hour or two, whatever. Or maybe you just want to reach out to Tracy and have a non-judgmental, safe space call.
Oh, for
'Cause
sure.
that's one thing I love about you, Tracy, is you laugh a lot because if you've been following me, like humor helps us breathe, helps us release toxins, it burns calories. Who doesn't love it, right? But like becoming financially empowered could actually be fun instead of like shame and I should know this. And I have spent so much energy and time beating myself up, and a part of me is just, Elaine, are you done?
Yes.
Anyway, Tracy,
Oh
I'm
my
so
goodness.
excited.
Yes.
I'm just so excited to know you. And I introduced one of my clients to Tracy, and we'll call her Gemma. And this woman, super powerful, been through a lot in her 50s, and had never studied financial stuff, would never met the right person, blah, blah, blah. And tell us what happened.
So she had built a great financial base for herself. She had paid off her debt. She had built her emergency fund. And then, like you said, she'd never worked with an advisor. She had never really invested. She didn't know how, she didn't know where. And another theme that I see with a lot of women is we want to do it right. And we're afraid to start until we know we're doing it right. So we sat down, we had a conversation, and she got started. We set it up like a bill that she pays to her future self. She had taken care of her past self. She had paid off all of that debt. She's taken care of her current self. And now we're taking care of her future self. And she sets it up automatic. We talked about all of her investments. We made that automatic. And so now every quarter when she gets her statements, I'm an investor. I did the hard thing. And she's fantastic. I love when I get to talk to her. And that is exactly what I want for everyone is to have someone that they can go to and say, I don't understand this. Will you explain it to me? And I do the same thing. I came to you and I said, I don't know anything about Zoom, about being on video. Please explain it to me. So it takes all of us, and we all have that thing that we do know really well. And we just have to partner together so that the people that know the things really well are taking care of the things that make them excited to get out of bed in the morning, and we all rise together. So now Gemma is an investor. She has a financial advisor. She feels amazing. And it's not too late to start. It's never too late to start. The best time, the most ideal time to become an investor is with your first paycheck, paying that check to your future self. The next best time is your next paycheck. It's never too late.
I love that. It's never too late. So great. So great. Thank you. And another reason we were at a women's event and Tracy was on a panel. And there were several financial experts. And it was fascinating to me because this person stood up, very successful business, like world renowned in her niche market. And she asked a question and she said, I thought you had to have X amount of dollars, like $10,000 in order to start investing. And I was so blown away because even though this person is like a rock star and has, I don't know how big their business is, but it's very successful and they go around the world training other people. They haven't had the time to educate themselves. And can you speak to that? And can you talk about how nobody wanted to help you when you had that chunk of money? Because I think
Yes,
it's
I
powerful.
can. That's how we're all made to feel, especially if you don't grow up with money or grow up with someone in the family that works in the industry and can help you understand that. And then we see all of the firms that are advertised on TV and you call them and you don't meet their minimum. And so then that perpetuates that myth of I have to be wealthy in order to become wealthy. So when I was younger, in my 20s, stay-at-home mom, raising my kiddos, my paternal grandparents passed away. We inherited a small amount of money, more than should have been sitting in a savings account at the time, earning pennies and interest, but not enough to meet these lofty minimums to get in with Fisher Investments or some other corporate financial advisor. And that was at a time, to give away my age, where you couldn't just go online and create an investment account on your own. I called, I don't even remember how many financial advisors to be told that I was below their minimums, that they wouldn't work with me. I have finally found an advisor through our local bank that was willing to at least get us set up and on the road. But later, when my kids were a little older and I went back to school and I started working in the industry, I was like, I will never gatekeep how to build wealth. If you have an emergency fund and you are intentional about building wealth, I'm going to help you because I know how it felt to be on the outside looking in. And I'm never going to let my clients feel that way. Never,
Mm,
ever.
I love that. I love that, Tracy. Yeah, financial literacy is for everyone. Excuse
Yes.
me. Yeah, so great. Okay, so we talked about how you got there and how you help people. And is there another client success story you want to share about somebody? And I know we changed the names to keep everybody safe.
Yeah.
Yes,
Several stand out. I have another lady, strong, powerful, C-suite, great career, wanted to retire in her late 50s, needed to bridge that gap between retiring in her 50s and being Medicare eligible. So, how do you pay for health insurance?
right.
And where do you draw funds from if you retire before 59 and a half and all of your money is in your employer plan? Because that comes with a penalty. So she came in with a brokerage account and a Roth account. So we had some options for income. We've done some moving around between those accounts to be able to generate the cash flow that she needs to pay her bills and maintain her lifestyle, but we keep her taxable income very low so that she qualifies for lower ACA health insurance premiums and she has a lower marginal tax rate. So she's keeping more of her retirement savings in her account rather than having to use them to pay personal taxes and outrageous health insurance premiums.
I love that. And now a quick message. Are you a female business owner or a female in corporate and you know it's time to work on your speaking? You know it's time to work on your executive presence. You know it's time. You are meant for more. My name's Elaine, and I've helped hundreds of people just like you get more comfortable, more confident, and become a truly charismatic speaker. So that whenever you stand up to speak, whether it's in front of 5 people or 5,000, people lean in anticipation. When you are a charismatic speaker, you have an unfair advantage, and people can't even put their fingers on it. So if this resonates with you, if you're ready for more, you know you're meant for more, click the button below. Let's schedule a call. I'd love to chat with you and find out what you're up to, what you're committed to, what you're excited about, and see if there's a way we could possibly partner or work together. And now, back to the show.
And I know I'm going to be turning 58 in a week. I'm like, what? And so many women my age, I have a fear that I'm going to outlive my money and
Yes.
be a homeless cat lady or live on beans or whatever. And I do love working and I love the work that I do. So I hope that I'm always doing that. It's such a fear. So I just having the idea of a trusted advisor really looking at stuff, I think of you as more like a financial therapist in a way.
Yes. And I love partnering with my clients and talking about all of their fears and what keeps them up at night. And do I have a product in my arsenal that will cover that fear? So, like you mentioned, if you're afraid of running out of money before you die and it's keeping you up at night, we're going to see if an annuity would be a good option for you, or if we have an annuity that covers your needs. Some advisors will tell you that annuities are outrageous commissions. You can get better returns in the market. And both of those things are true, actually. But if the thing that is keeping you up at night is running out of money before you die, then a monthly annuity deposit into your bank account, you might run out of money by the end of the month, but you're not going to run out of money before you die because that annuity is going to pay you throughout your retirement. And I actually had a prospect yesterday that a portion of her retirement savings was with a company that all they do is annuities. And so as soon as I knew who we were talking about, I knew that money was in an annuity. And so I was talking to her about what that might look like when she retired. And she said, "Wait, what? What do you mean this is an annuity? This is my employer plan." And I said, "Yes, ma'am, but this particular company filled the space when in the 80s, 70s, and 80s, everything switched from being a pension to a 401k or a 403b. This company stepped into that space for schools and created 403bs that work like pensions, passing the responsibility from the school district to this particular company." And she was devastated that if she had turned on income from that retirement account, she would have given up leaving her children a death benefit. She had no idea. Again, education is super important to me. I want all of my clients to understand what they're getting and what they have in their accounts. But if your children are wildly successful and they don't need a death benefit from you to be a part of your legacy, and running out of money keeps you up at night, an annuity might be the right answer, but we don't know until we map it all out and do all
Right.
the math and put it in the picture.
I love that. I love that. And just explaining with no judgment, right? I think what happens is, I know for me and for my clients, we're so worried about the outcome of, oh my God, what if I get cyberbullied if I make videos? Or what if I find out? And it's like just gathering the data and not adding meaning to it, right? Just gather the data, just learning. And sometimes that can be really scary, but
Mhm.
at the end of the day, it's better to have a sense of what's going on than just sticking your head in the sand. Another
Yeah.
thing, and another thing I want to talk to you about, if somebody's listening, if you are an impulsive spender, and I've never been like, I love clothes, but I'm like a thrift girl. I'm very thrifty. However, when it comes to my business, I can be impulsive and I
Mhm.
rationalize it because it's for my business. Oh, I really love this person. So I've done a lot of things in order to grow my business. And that's great. I don't regret that. And I'm really personally working on, do I really need this? Do I really need this now? Is this something I can wait and think about? And if I can wait and think about it and meditate on it 90% of the time, is yeah, you'd love to do that, but is this what you need right now? And
Yes.
so, is that something you help people with who might have challenges with
Oh, it's
certain?
one of my favorite things.
Okay, speak to that, please.
Part of the very early process of becoming one of my clients is envisioning your dream retirement. Not, oh, what can we scrape by on? I'm willing to eat beans and rice for 30 years if I can retire. What is your dream retirement? What does it look like for you? Is it travel? You want to travel the world? Do you want to visit your grandkids regularly? Do you want to be able to buy a cool, fast car every 5 years or go on a cruise? It doesn't matter. It's not my dream, it's your dream. What is your dream? And so we picture it. And I picked up a tip from another advisor. I might actually start vision boarding it so that they have something to take home because kind of like you said, if you have a reason, and I do it too in my business a little bit, oh, it's a write-off. Write-offs are free money. It's
Right.
not. And it needs to be in line with your vision and your mission and all your things. But if you know in 5 years, I want to take an Alaskan cruise and you're envisioning Alaska and the eagles and the snow and the moose, and you can see yourself on this cruise ship in Alaska, then when you're having a crummy day and you think, oh, I could really use that coffee on the way to this meeting. Do you need that coffee more than you need to go to Alaska? And if you have that vision, if it's palpable and fantastic and you're really looking forward to it, a lot of times with those impulse purchases, especially when you go to do it, your brain will remind you, oh, but I'm saving for Alaska. Which is not to say you can't live between now and Alaska, but all of those $5 here, $10 here, all of those little things add up to you maybe not being able to go to Alaska. So we envision the dream so that when those impulse purchases pop up, we're like, oh, but I am working towards that really cool thing. And then we also make all of our saving automatic. So it's a bill. We're not waiting to see what's left at the end of the month and then investing that. We're paying ourselves first, like it's a bill. And so both of those things combined can help you accumulate wealth way faster than you think you can.
I love that. I love that because we all have habits. And I love the idea of somebody helping me. And I was thinking about this yesterday. I have a fear of missing out,
Yes.
like a fear of I really want to be in this community, or all of my colleagues, they're growing. I have to keep up. And it's so funny because I'm like, I've never been like keep up with the Joneses. And I'm like, maybe not with your neighbors, Elaine, but in other circles, I have this fear of missing out. And I don't like admitting that, but I think there's power in going, oh wow, this is one of my habits. And when we know better, we do better. And
Yeah.
raising our awareness so that we can make choices.
Yeah.
Because I always feel like Starbucks, you have had enough of my money. I like going to support local businesses for lots and lots of reasons. And I love coffee, but do I really need more than 2 cups a day? No. Can I just go and have a water and meet my friend or whatever? Yes. It's a million tiny choices, right?
Yes. And that can add to a lot of decision fatigue and lifestyle creep. Like those things I think go hand in hand,
Oh,
where we've
lifestyle
made
creep.
so many choices throughout the day in our business and our life. And we hit a point where our brain just glazes over. And that's when, for me at least, the impulsive choices, intrusive thoughts, man, it's hey, there's snacks in the kitchen. Hey, you've worked so hard this week. You've got this event coming up. Let's take the afternoon off and go shopping. I have things I really need to be doing. So maybe I should just take a walk around my block and refocus. But we hit a point where we can't make any more decisions. And I think our generation makes more decisions on a day-to-day basis than any generation before us. Acknowledging that and giving ourselves some grace about that, and then combined with every time we get a raise, are we intentionally putting a little bit of that back? Not all of it, not all of it. I want you to live, I want you to enjoy all of your life. So make it a balance. Put half of that raise towards your savings and investing goals, your future self. Take half of it to celebrate your current self and the hard work that you're doing, but be intentional about it. Don't just be like, I'm tired, I'm over choosing, I'm going to go out to dinner tonight because I can't function. I'm going to run through this fast food place because I'm over everything. It's not good for your wallet, it's not good for your body, it's probably not even good for your mental health. Like you said, a walk and a glass of water would be the right decision in that moment, but it's much, much easier said than done.
I love when you said lifestyle creep. And to me, I liken it to sugar. Like I'm in recovery for a million things, alcohol, drugs, whatever, and I still struggle with sugar sometimes. And for me, it's like this slow, insidious. It makes me think of like when you're dancing in a club and the fog comes. There's no fog, and then all of a sudden you're like, "What's that smell?" And then you're covered in fog. And I feel like
Mhm.
that's how sugar is for me, which I can also equate to spending. You're like, "Oh, it's just, oh, I'll just have one little bite of a cookie." And then, oh, you want me to have this piece of pie? And instead of taking just a bite and sharing it, I'll eat the whole thing. And
Oh,
then
yeah.
before I know it, I need yeah, here's the cool thing is like you can always restart your day. You can always
Yes.
start your week. I think what happens, I struggled with diets and bulimia for years and years. And so many times it was like that black and white thinking. I have one donut, so I might as well have 10 because I screwed up
Mhm.
the day.
'Cause it's a
And so I'm
cheat
like,
day now.
okay, you had one donut. Go brush your teeth, shake it off, and eat some freaking broccoli later on. Like you can restart your day, your week, your month at any moment.
Oh,
I'm like, you
yeah.
know what? Janine Roth is one of my favorite. She was a mentor. She was the first woman who was talking about eating disorders. She was on Phil Donahue when Phil Donahue was not gray. Like she was the original gangster. and she has many great books. And one of her books is when you're eating in front of the refrigerator, pull up a chair. Sometimes people open the fridge and they're just like, "Eh." And she's to raise your awareness, like, oh, you know what? I'm eating. I'm not physically hungry, but I'm choosing to eat emotionally to soothe myself. And just
Mhm.
acknowledging that is freedom and power. So that maybe
Yes.
next time you can make a different choice, or you can say, you know what? Now I'm choosing to stop
Yes.
instead of this whirlwind thing. So anyway, I could
Yes.
talk to you all day, Tracy. Tell us, do you have one final super tip or something you can give our listeners?
Yes. Even if you don't think you know enough, or you have enough, or you're just overwhelmed and don't think you're worthy of talking to a financial advisor, and if you've ever talked to a financial advisor that has made you feel not worthy, try again. Keep trying. I'm happy to sit down with anyone. I don't charge for appointments. I want everyone that I can reach be empowered about where they are, what the next step is, and what the goal is. It's never too late to start. You don't have to have wealth to build wealth. You just have to want to and be willing to look at where you are and be brave enough to take the next step.
Ah, I love that so much. Financial literacy without the judgment. We should make some
Yes.
t-shirts. Okay, so I'm going to have all of your links in the show notes, but if somebody's listening and driving, don't try to write this down. But Tracy, what's the easiest way for people to find you?
Am very active on LinkedIn and Facebook, so you can search me on either of those platforms, Tracy with an I. And
And Steelman, Steelman, if you're driving.
yes.
Awesome. I'm
Uh,
sorry, what else? You were going to say something else.
I was trying to think. That's probably the easiest and the fastest. I'm also always at the Richardson Chamber of Commerce. I volunteer there a lot, and the Plano Rotary Club.
Yes, and that's another thing I love about you, Tracy. Lifelong learner. I thought that I did a lot of leadership things and workshops. You are like constantly in training, but that's the kind of advisor I would like.
Yeah.
In fact, okay, one final thing that you should know about Tracy. So, Tracy, tell us what you do in the mornings because this just cracks me up.
My personal motto is always be learning. And I need to know what's going on in the world, in the economy, in life. So I start my day by reading all of the headlines on Fox News, on CNN, on Reuters, sometimes the BC if I'm not completely sad and upset by the time I make it through the first three. And then I listen to CNBC so that I get the financial news in the background throughout the day so that I can be informed and I can adjust investments as needed as the global economy shifts, and so that I can talk to all of my clients about what they might have heard or seen on the news that is giving them fear or grief or sometimes excitement, right? News isn't always bad. It feels like it's always bad, but it's not always. So I just want to be prepared to talk to my clients about whatever's on their minds. And the way I do that is by reading all of the news every morning.
But you also do financial news stuff too, right?
Oh, yes. My firm is Raymond James, and they put out weekly, monthly, and annual updates and forecasts of where they think the market's going to be going and investment recommendations to go with that. So then Usually on the weekends, I take all of those updates and I research mutual funds and ETFs and investments that match those updates and themes again, so that we can be ready to pivot investments when the market changes and the economy changes. So I do dedicate a lot of time to reading.
I love that. I feel like you do that, so I don't have to. So thank you so much, Tracy, for all of your wisdom and your heart. Thank you for your mission of helping educate. And it's just, I love working with you. And thank you so much for being with us
Oh,
today.
thank you for inviting me. I appreciate you so much and helping me be more confident on camera and more confident in my financial literacy classes and just bringing a smile to me so early in the morning.
Thank you. Okay, bye, everybody. Thank you.